Hey guys, today I'm filming my Throwback Thursday of my June favorites from 2016. If you guys have never seen one of these videos from me before, I'll have my playlist linked down below. And basically I will be re-reviewing all the products I featured in my favorites video from 2 years back to let you know my current thoughts on those products, whether they are still favorites or if I have replaced them with something I prefer. My inspiration for this series is Kristen Game. I will have her channel and her playlist linked down below. I will also link down below the original favorites video, and I will list and link all of the items that I mentioned. So these first set of items created my favorite look of that month. For the eyes, I was using this Dose of Colors Hidden Treasure palette. I had Ruby on my lid, Locket as my crease color, and Map as my transition color. I think Ruby is a beautiful shade. I do have an entire palette of the month review video on this palette. I will have that linked up in the cards. I have very in-depth thoughts on this palette because of the formula. It was a little bit difficult to work with. I haven't used this palette since then. I cannot let this go because it was very expensive. The colors are very beautiful, but the metallics are just so freaking chunky, and the mattes aren't my favorite. I think Map is strangely cool tone to be in here with the rest of these warm tone shadows, so I don't love the layout either. You actually don't have very deep pans for the amount of packaging that you have. Overall, I do not recommend this palette, and I'm pretty sure it's still available on the Ulta website. They brought it back for some reason, and if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts on it, make sure you check out that palette of the month. Then for my cheeks, I was wearing MAC Warm Soul Mineralize Blush, one of my holy grail blushes. It's a beautiful warm peachy nude and it has a subtle sheen to it. My go-to blush in the fall, so that is absolutely still a favorite. Then for lips, I had ColourPop combo, so I lined my lips with the lip liner in the shade Aquarius, which is my all-time favorite nude. This goes well with pink or peachy nudes, and this is absolutely still a favorite of mine. It was unfortunately discontinued. I have this one and two backups because I love it so much. I have already used up one completely. I love the ColourPop lip liner formula because it is very creamy. I can use it to line and fill in my lips completely, but it does stay in place really well and it is pretty comfortable. So I really do enjoy that color and that formula. And then over top of it, I was using a Lippie stick in the shade Cookie, which is a light warm nude, and it's a matte finish. I haven't really used this recently. This is a color I tend to reach for during the fall, so hopefully I will get more use out of it this fall. I think it's a pretty color, not a must-have for me. I like the ColourPop Lippie sticks in the matte finish, but I prefer the Matte X finish, but unfortunately there aren't a ton of shades in that finish. How many times can I say that word? So this is not a favorite of mine anymore. I would be okay not having it in my collection, but I do think that it paired nicely with Aquarius because it is that warm tone nude. So it's still a good product, but not a favorite. So then for the rest of my favorites, the first is a combination of a moisturizer and a primer. Basically, from the beginning of time, I've had to use different combinations to get products to work for me. Coming up soon, I will have a chit chat, get ready with me, use my project pan items, and you will see like just how much I have to combine different products to get things to work for me. But this combination, the moisturizer was the Clean and Clear Gel Morning Burst Hydrating Gel Moisturizer. Very long name. I have since used it up. I don't know if they even make it anymore. And the primer was the MakeUpForEver Step 1 Equalizer Matte Primer. Side note, it is a pet peeve of mine when people talk about the MakeUpForEver primers and they just call it a MakeUpForEver Step 1 primer. They all say that. In small font at the bottom says what kind it is. They are all different. That drives me crazy when people are like, this doesn't MakeUpForEver Step 1 primer. Girl, you got them all in PR. You should know that they're different. Which one? And this was the mattifying primer. So this mattifying primer is very similar to the Becca Evermatte, where it's a very thick consistency like glue that you have to warm up in your hands and press into your skin. And I was having the problem where this balled up on my skin very, very, very badly. And I was trying to find a moisturizer that worked well with it. Well, because this is a very thin, lightweight gel moisturizer, the two did work pretty well together. And I used up the moisturizer, but I could not make myself use up the primer and I ended up throwing it away. Now, I have heard from some people that I was applying it wrong. I was rubbing it in, and that's a product you have to pat into the skin, and it's very likely that I was using it wrong. But even though I love mattifying primers, I don't think it actually kept me that matte, and because it was so difficult to work with, it's absolutely not worth it. It is not a favorite by any stretch of the imagination. I did like that moisturizer, but I do have other moisturizers I prefer now, and as I said, I don't even know if that one's still available. So neither of those are a favorite, and I definitely do not recommend the Makeup Forever primer. My next favorite was a foundation combination. I was mixing two foundations and applying them with a certain brush. The first foundation in the combo was the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless in the shade 110 Porcelain. The only good thing about that foundation is the shade, because it is very fair and yellow. I absolutely hated that foundation, and I was trying to use it up, so I was trying to test out different foundation combinations, and the one that I really liked mixing with the Maybelline was the Kat Von D Locket Tattoo foundation. Back then I had the shade Light 45. I have now used that up, repurchased in the shade Light 43, which is a warm undertone. This shade is lighter than 45. It is a little bit more yellow, which is nice, but this looks really weird on my skin. The color does, which is a bummer because I thought I found my perfect shade. But for the Maybelline foundation, people rave about that. I hate it. I told you guys in many videos, it gives light medium coverage on me. It does not control my oils at all. I cannot stand it. It took me so long to get through, and I liked mixing it with the Kat Von D because the Kat Von D is a little bit dark for me. That was a little bit light, so then the color worked out. Both are yellow tone, so that was nice. And the Kat Von D is like super full coverage, and the Maybelline is light coverage. Also, the Kat Von D is super thick, and the Maybelline is more of a thin consistency. So the mixture of the two gave me great coverage, but it was an easier consistency to work with, because the Kat Von D foundation, I did really like it, but after a while I felt like maybe this was too thick for me, and with that mixture it didn't apply very well with a sponge, so I applied it with the Beauty Junkees flat top Kabuki brush, and this is a dupe for the Sigma F80 flat top Kabuki. I now have the Sigma, and I actually like the Beauty Junkees a little bit more because it's a little bit more flexible, and the Sigma is very, very stiff. This was a really good brush, and I definitely do recommend this one for applying foundation. It did work well with that combo. I was able to use up the Maybelline foundation using this combo, but I would never repurchase that. And then in another project last year, I used up my last bit of Kat Von D, and I actually ended up really liking it because I mixed it with a different product to thin out the consistency. So I repurchased it in my shade that I thought would be a perfect match. As I said, it's kind of weird color, and the consistency is a little too thick for me. So I actually wish I didn't repurchase it, but I did. It's been too long to return it, so I will try to use this up, and this is basically a full bottle, so it's going to take me forever. So neither of those are favorites for me anymore. While I love the coverage of this, it is a little bit too thick and heavy for me, so I would pass on both of them, but I do really like the Beauty Junkees brush to apply foundation. My next favorite was the Maybelline Stay Put Brow Color in the shade number 2 Natural Taupe, which is a brow pomade. I did use up most of that last year. It was in my 2017 empties. What was left was so thick and cakey and actually was very full of brow hairs, which was disgusting, so I ended up tossing that. And it was a really nice brow pomade, but unfortunately it was too dark for me. It was really pigmented, a little bit too thick, and especially the more I used it, the thicker it got. And it did last for a long time on my brows. It was a good product, but too dark and too thick for me. And I don't love pomades in general, but since then I have tried, this is my second sample now, of the Benefit Ka-Brow Pomade. I have the shade number 1, which is very, very light. It is probably the lightest brow pomade I've ever seen, which is what I need because my brow shape is already intense. So to fill this in with a taupey pomade makes them look way, way too dark. And this is actually even better than the Anastasia pomade in color, because the Anastasia blonde shade looks green, like self-tanner green. So this is a really great shade. I really like this formula as well. It was really easy to work through my brows, had a good consistency, but it wasn't too thick. So I want to use up this second sample and then decide if I repurchase it or not, because on a day-to-day basis I do prefer using pencil, powder, and a tinted brow gel. It's a lot more steps, but I think it looks more natural than a pomade. So if they made the mini size in the shade number 1, I would purchase it, but I'm pretty sure they only have the mini size in the shade number 3. So in the future I might repurchase the Benefit. I would never buy the Milani again because this one is so much better for me color and formula wise. Then I had two more lip product favorites. The first is a ColourPop Lippie Stick in the shade Kiddo, which is a sheer finish. Out of all of the finishes, sheer and matte X are my favorite. I don't think they even make the sheers anymore. I don't think they were that popular. And even though this is a sheer, it actually has a decent amount of pigment and it has a beautiful shine to it. And some of the other ColourPop lipsticks can feel too heavy on me and they give me that white ring. It's mostly ColourPop Lippie Sticks that do that to me, which is kind of odd. This one didn't do that. Super comfortable, a stunning, stunning shade, and it is a very wearable terracotta because it is more sheer. I'll have to double check to make sure it's not available, but I'm pretty sure it's not. But I really did enjoy this color and this formula. I actually think I can still call this one a favorite. If I had to choose between this one or Cookie, I would choose Kiddo. The next lip product I have is the Dose of Colors liquid lipstick in the shade Truffle. I did film an entire review on the Dose of Colors liquid lipsticks and lip glosses. I will have that linked above. It's not of their new high pigment glosses, it was their original glosses because this review was from 2016, just so you know. But this color I was afraid of. I thought it was too brown, but it actually is a really nice brown tone nude on me and pairs beautifully with really warm eye looks, and it's a shade I get a lot of use out of in the fall. I love the packaging. I think it is super cute with the frosted bottle and just how short and squatty it is. And it has a really fuzzy doe foot applicator, and this is a very moussey consistency of a liquid lipstick. It does dry down completely. It is a little bit drying on the lips, but I expect that with most liquid lipsticks. This is definitely one of my favorite formulas. They have a lot of really great shades, especially nudes, so this color is definitely still a favorite, and I do really enjoy this formula, and I do plan on purchasing more shades in the future. And lastly, I have 4 different nail polishes. The first 2 were from a Wet n Wild limited edition collection a couple summers ago. This is the Wild Shine in Chambray Showers, which is a beautiful cornflower blue. I am all the way down here in the product, which is pretty good for me because I wear a color once a year and then move on to something else because I have so many polishes. And the other one is Ferris Wheel Romance, which is a really beautiful pinky peach color, and you can't see the fill line on this one because I've shaken it up a little bit too much. These are amazing polishes, only 99 cents, both opaque in 2 to 3 coats. So bummed these were limited edition. These were absolutely incredible. I love using these every single summer. The next one is Zoya's Wendy, which is a beautiful pink tone coral opaque in 2 coats. One of my top 5 Zoyas of all time. Zoya makes some of my favorite cream polishes because they're so opaque and they have so many beautiful colors. This is definitely a summer staple for me. The last polish is the Berry M Jelly Polish in the shade Greenberry, which is the most unique color ever. And I believe it is Jolie G Tropical that is similar to this one, but it isn't quite as bright. And I did just hear from one of my subscribers that this line has been discontinued, which is a bummer. This is a really beautiful shade. I had 2 others. I don't love this formula. It is very thick and goopy, and I've had it for a couple years, but it was like that when I first got it. And I have to do 3 thin coats to get it fully opaque, and oftentimes the coats are a little too thick and then it gets gloopy. It's very difficult to get it to dry down. I get sheet marks in it, so for me, I do not like the formula at all, but this color is so unique that I will put up with the formula. But the Jolie G is a new polish to me, so I will definitely let you guys know in a future video when I compare the 2 if Tropical is a similar enough color, considering that this isn't available anymore and Berry M isn't even available in the US to begin with. So I'll keep you posted in a future video. This is still a favorite because of the color, but I do not like the formula whatsoever. So guys, that was my Throwback Thursday of my June favorites from 2016. I would love to know your thoughts if you've tried out any of these products, and I would love to know if you do a similar video on your channel. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.